Greetings and salutations. I am Muertero Chris, and welcome to my channel, The Guard Owl. Today, I want to talk a little bit about my experience as a Muertero and devotee of La Santísima Muerte and how I got into tarot card reading. So, I want to say about a month to 2 months into being a devotee of La Santísima Muerte, I began to have some very strong spiritual experiences. Hearing things, seeing things in particular shapes such as triangles. I saw triangles a lot. And when I say I saw triangles a lot, I mean I saw triangles like in the cracks of the streets, in signs, on cars. I mean, you name it. I mean, of course, we see triangles a lot of the time out and about, but this was like in my face all the time, 24/7. And it got to a point to where I had met somebody and I got into a relationship. And when I was dating this person, they gave me a set of tarot cards. Mind you, in my background, before I became a Muertero, I was not really into tarot cards. I was really against stuff like that, believe it or not. But then when this happened, I said, sure, why not? I'll give it a try. So the tarot cards that were given to me were H.P. Lovecraft inspired, and they were the Necronomicon. I don't remember the artist of it. But you check out the H.P. Lovecraft set of tarot cards, I'm pretty sure you'll find it out there. Very dark artwork, obviously. Anyway, so I started to work with these tarot cards, and it got to a point to where it got really strong for me. It royally sucked me in. I was doing tarot cards almost nonstop, mostly on myself. The longest tarot card reading I had ever done for anybody was, I believe, somewhere between 10 and 12 hours straight. I'll never do it again. It took a lot out of me. However, it's quite interesting what tarot cards and La Santísima Muerte have linked to each other, because it seems just about anybody that gets into the practice and devotion of La Santísima Muerte almost always somehow ends up coming down to using tarot cards. I believe that this has a lot to do with communication, not so much divining and, trying to read for other people. I think the tarot cards come into play with La Santísima Muerte as more so a means to be able to communicate with her. She's known for being able to come through very strong with messages in dreams. She's really good with dream work and getting messages out to you. However, when you're awake and you want to have some kind of a communication with La Santísima Muerte, a lot of people tend to go to tarot card reading as like the number one. Other forms that I've used with La Santísima Muerte to communicate with her one-to-one would also be runes. So there's that. However, things kind of transpired to the point to where I started practicing on people, well, I can do these tarot card readings with her. They weren't really readings. They were more like a means of communication with her. It got to the point to where I started walking around town in the south side of San Antonio. I was the crazy guy with a statue of La Santísima Muerte and some tarot cards, giving little messages out. That's how crazy my experiences were. And I remember one time I walked into a tattoo shop in the south side to just deliver a message, and they ended up closing the tattoo shop and invited some friends over because apparently they were devotees of La Santísima Muerte and they were expecting and praying for something like this to happen. So here I come with my little divine intervention of message. And that turned out to be real interesting as well. But that just goes to show how powerful devotion with La Santísima Muerte can take you. It's not so much that anybody have to be afraid, and I don't want to say take warning when it comes into the practice of La Santísima Muerte for anybody viewing this that is not a devotee of her and is looking to get into it. But this is just more so to let you know what can happen with La Santísima Muerte when you get into the devotion, because of the vast amount of videos that are out there, and a lot of information coming out, especially in English books now. A lot of these English books have a lot to do with spell casting, ritual, and workings that you can do with La Santísima Muerte as a devotee. Whereas in other things, mostly just, they seem to just be brought down to prayers and mostly the rosary or chaplets with La Santísima Muerte. I'll probably do a video on that later on too. Anyway, I feel like I'm rambling on about this. I wasn't really planning on how I was going to do this video. However, this I did plan on doing earlier this week, and I'm going to do it now. So what I wanted to talk about is working with the scythe. This is something that she taught me with herself about working with her and the scythe. I noticed that there's people out there that have questions about the scythe. What does it mean when it moves? I really don't have answers to that. However, what I can show you is how to work with the scythe when you're working with her. So one of the things that you can do with her when you're working with the scythe, especially during a chaplet or a rosary, there's a point in the rosary where when you start the rosary, you're supposed to take the scythe off before you start the rosary. And at a certain point in the rosary, you bring the scythe to her and you place it in her hand. Now, usually when this takes place, when somebody's doing a chaplet or a rosary with La Santísima Muerte, regardless of what color of her robe you're working with, just for an example, we're just going to use, we're going to work with La Santísima Muerte in the black robe right now. Let's say you're using it for protection. Okay, you're going to work with her for protection. So during the chaplet, when it gets to the point to where the rosary is offered to her and the scythe, since you're the one that wants the protection, when you place the scythe in her hand, you're going to point the scythe out towards you. Because remember, when you're doing this chaplet or this rosary, she's facing you. So you want the scythe to be facing towards you. All this really symbolizes is a focal point. It's coming towards you. Now, let's say, for instance, you're doing a chaplet of protection or a rosary of protection for somebody else, and you've already made your candles, and they're already blessed, they're fixed the way you would do it, and that has the names and the petitions of the person. Since it's for that person, you would also face it out because you want it going towards them. However, in times that you're not doing any kind of protection work for yourself or for anybody else, and you're just doing your devotional rosario or rosary or chaplet for La Santísima Muerte out of honor, you're going to go ahead and give her the scythe and point it towards the back of her, like that. This is something that she's taught me on her own. Mind you, I didn't have any teachers other than her. Here's another interesting thing that she taught me as well. When you're doing any prayers of protection, and you're doing, let's say, a novena of protection, after the first 3 days of the novena of protection, when you have the scythe pointed out, you want to pick it up a little bit. And you want to kind of have it crossed out. Okay? This is going to signify that, your novena after 3 days, it's going to start getting stronger and stronger. Okay? After the next 3 days, so you're on 6 days, you're going to turn it the other direction. Okay? She's kind of doing like her own little karate thing, I guess you could say. And then by the 9th day, you're going to pick it up all the way straight. And you kind of put the hilt of this against her so that it rests against her body. These beads are in the way. And so the scythe is going to be all the way up. Oh, there you go. Thank you. So it's going to be all the way up and it's going to be pointing down. Now, mind you, by this point in time, if you're working with a candle right in front of her, the candle's going to be right in front of her. And if you have her backed up against a wall, this candle is going to, the lower the flame gets, the bigger the shadow of her back is going to get on the wall. This brings it almost kind of to life. And then you have La Santísima Muerte in black right on the wall. And with the flame moving, she kind of moves. If you're doing this in the dark, which you kind of should be doing for protection work because black is protection, it makes it very powerful. When you're done doing this and your protection and your novena work is done with, you're simply just going to take the scythe out. Now, I'm not going to do it right now, but you unscrew. Usually the hands, they can unscrew. You take off the screw, you place it back on the scythe, and you lay it at her feet. The work is done. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. She got some beats for Mardi Gras this year. But yeah, so I hope this was a little informative about doing a little bit of scythe work and, you know, just to add into your little rituals. Y'all can be free to try it out there. Tell me what your outcomes were and see how it works for you. Catch you later. Bye.